good segue into what I've been writing about for a really long time is in the Patriots coaching change. I called it week. What would you say, Chet? Chet, what week do you think I called the Patriots coaching change? I think it was week 3, maybe. It might have been 4.
I'm not sure, but I think you were right, Wally.
I was right. I was right. I was right from the beginning.
Well,
He wasn't ready. I think it showed
let's.
early on. Kraft. Go ahead, Nate.
All right, go ahead, Nate. Introduce this.
Wallace hijacking the segment.
No. Go ahead. Finish, Wally. Finish.
I have serious concerns about the way this organization is being run, top to bottom. I think it starts with Kraft. I'm starting to really be concerned with his ability to manage the Patriots. They haven't made any meaningful upgrades in their franchise. I think players are starting to talk ill of the organization. They're making poor choices, consistent poor choices. I don't think. I mean, it was clear Mayo wasn't ready. It was clear early on that Mayo wasn't ready. I don't know how you can put blind faith in an individual like that was so obviously and so early and obviously determined to be wrong. And then we have to just put blind faith in that they're going to make the right choice again. Like, I don't know, man. We haven't been drafting well. They haven't been investing in the team. We are consistent. We've said this from early on. They're not investing money in the player experience. We're not going to be able to onboard the high quality free agents because people don't want to come play for the Patriots. We need a total revamp. I am so disgusted with the way this season ended. And I said it in our text thread, and I'll say it again. He should not have made it back. I hope he didn't make it back to that locker room. Us winning that game was so effing ridiculous to go from 1 to 4. Like, it just typifies what's wrong with this organization. Like, what are we doing? Put Jacoby goddamn Brissett in that game and let him get hit 100 times like he did the rest of the season. What are we doing? What are we doing?
So bad.
I want to play devil's advocate and be like, hey, is Robert Kraft turning into Jerry Jones of the East?
Shane, you're not too far off, Jose. So what? I'm glad you brought that up about the organization, Wally, because when they fired Bill Belichick, the only people they hired, well, I wouldn't even say they hired. They shuffled their feet, right? They didn't hire a GM. We didn't know if there was going to be a GM. They named Gerard Mayo the head coach. He didn't even have a GM at the time that they hired him. Then Elliot Wolf comes into the fold. They somehow didn't name him, wasn't sure what his title was going to be. He was part of the front office. And then they name him the GM. But who else? Bill Belichick was literally doing like 12 different jobs while he was the GM and the coach. And they literally probably only hired a coach and the GM. So that the front office is structurally, as far as the organization is concerned, it's the thinnest in the NFL. Meaning they don't have the infrastructure that, let's say, the LA Rams do. Whether it's again from the GM on down and who the scouting team is, who the scouting division is at the college level, regionally, and then also who's the scouting team for like the combine specifically, and then. Again, they're just thin all around, and I agree with you. I definitely have a lack of confidence in the Crafts in general and the front office, because when we look at this, we talked about it from the beginning. Again, we didn't spend $40 million. We're like Jerry Jones, where we celebrate the fact that we're saving $40 million. But the product on the field is not a winning product. Then we trade our 2 best players. And this is all, I'd assume that the head coach had nothing to do with this, because I don't know a head coach that would want to get rid of players that are going to play for you and then stockpile draft picks, meaning I'm going to reduce the talent on the field that I have currently, and I'm not going to get an addition. We're not signing anybody off of the free agent or the waiver wire. So I don't know a coach that would do that. And again, I would go to bat for Jared Mayo and say, I don't think he did a good job, but I don't think he deserves to be fired because the Crafts signed him to a contract. Why don't you honor that contract? we are very bad, as in the Patriots fans. I think the majority of us are expecting the next Bill Belichick. Well, Bill Belichick went his first 6 seasons in the NFL and only had 1 winning season. So we're not going to get the Hall of Fame coach that we're looking for, and not after 1 year either. And I can name off a bunch of coaches their rookie season that did not do well, and now they're in the Hall of Fame. Jimmy Johnson's one. He was 1-15. Tom Landry's another. He was 0-11 in his first year. Chuck Noll was 1-13. Bill Walsh was 2-14.
Not one bit of you thinks Gerard Mayo is going to be a Hall of Fame coach, Dave. Like, come on.
No, of course, but I'm judging that off of the season that he had. But that doesn't mean that he can't. That doesn't mean that he can't develop. And
he was every step of the way in front of the microphone. The guy couldn't have botched it any more in year 1.
He kept throwing his own coaches under the bus.
The Kraft wanted to jerk him off I mean, they wanted this to work. The guy was a bozo. He failed, man. He failed. There's no.
I'm not disputing that he didn't fail. He did. The team. But hold on a minute. He did fail, but the team had exactly the same record last year as they did this year under Bill Belichick. The offense was 5 points better this year, and the defense was only 2 points worse. The defense was only 2 points worse as far as points per game, but the defense last year was 7th, and this year we were 28th.
Bill Belichick runs a professional organization. Gerard Mayo, like he couldn't have botched it anymore. You know,
Jared Mayo inherited that roster, which Wally said was the worst in the NFL before pre-snap, before any snap happened. Wally said it was the worst in the NFL. He obviously said. He also said that it was Bill Belichick's roster that was handed down to Jared Mayo. Jared Mayo had nothing to do with that.
You don't even know.
I need to go get me one.
Nothing got better. He wants to bring it back for another.
I would say this
What is he? He's a Cowboys fan now?
To interrupt you two guys, I want to say this. I think Gerard Mayo is his own fault because he knew the situation. He knew the roster. He knew that, hey, if Bill Belichick can't make this work, why on earth would I take this job? I'm following the greatest coach that ever coached in the NFL.
Fuck yeah.
And he couldn't make this work. So to me, I'm looking at him like, you're an idiot. Because I want to do the Mike Tomlin thing and follow. I want to go in after Bill Cowher, who's left him a full roster when the cover was so full. Why would you, as a young coach with not a lot of experience, want to walk into that, knowing that the greatest coach in NFL history couldn't make it work? So that's on him. So him getting fired, he kind of set himself up for that. And
he looked for an opportunity. He failed.
Yeah. And then you looked in the same token is what I would think Wally never talked about is it's not just how they failed. It's the professionalism. It's the way they presented themselves out there in front of people. And you could say the same with when you look at, and I equate it to Alabama. Nick Saban's there, and Bill Belichick, they're at this level, and then all of a sudden they leave, and all of a sudden things start to fall out. People start behaving in manners that was never acceptable. People start acting and saying and doing things that were never acceptable. Everything was always internal, kept in house, and then now it's not. And like if you're throwing your coaches under the bus, well, you really think you're gonna get good coaching? No, because you're not loyal. You're passing the buck. You know, the buck stops with you. So at the end of the day,
threw his players under the bus, threw his coaches under. Come on.
So at the end of the day, Gerard Mayo kind of did it to himself.
In the organization under the bus. Everybody knew the team was going to stink. Everybody.
Everyone knew that.
All they had to do was go in there and stink. Run a good organization where nobody was mouthing off. Just say the right thing in front of the podium. Build the program, and he would have been fine. He couldn't do that. He needs to go.
There it is.
He needs to bring someone in that can do it.
Exactly. Jose, Nate, hold on, give me a timeout. Zach, I've got to tell you something. I just saw your 2 amazing catches.
Hmm?
I watched you miss the third one though.
What?
He hit you right in the hands, man. He hit you right in the hands.
I don't know if you can replay it. I was not looking at that one. I only requested 2. He came in the third when I started focusing back.
The third wasn't like it wasn't planned.
Correct.
It was like a hike on 2, but it's supposed to be 3.
Yeah. So
Calling it back here. We'll give him shit.
Let's get back on track. All right. To go back to what you said, Zach, about saying the right thing at the podium, like again, you're looking for Bill Belichick. You want there to be nothing bad said about anybody. Now, there was a guy that used to say this, and I want to know if you can tell me this, Zach. There was a guy that used to say, I think that players and coaches alike should be able to have hard conversations, be able to take constructive criticism. I'm not going to tell you what you're good at. I'm going to tell you what you need to improve on. And I'm probably going to use colorful language to do that. Do you know who said that, Zach?
It doesn't matter who said that. Yes, every coach should do that with a player. It's just not in front of the podium to the media. Like that is the problem.
So, well, let's also back up. Do you honestly think? Now? I say that if that was the first time that Gerard Mayo said any of those things about the people that you're talking about, then he's throwing them on. If that was the first time that he ever said that, then he's throwing them under the bus. If he had multiple conversations on the sideline, in practice, in the facility about this is what I want you to do, you're not doing it, I need you to do it, and that's repeated, and then I say it at the podium, it's not throwing anybody under the bus because I'm not saying anything about them or to them that I wouldn't say to their face.
He said,
it's not.
What game was it that they said that they didn't compete? Like that they
were soft.
Like they were soft.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean, Nate? Like,
I'm okay with him saying that. I don't like that because he's not directing it at a player. He's directing it at everyone. So everyone needs to improve, which is not a false statement. The team was not good.
I feel like you're grasping at straws because I don't know how you can watch the totality of this season, the Patriots football, and think that coach deserves to come back.
I don't think he did.
They made horrible play calls consistently throughout the year. They were in wrong schemes defensively. The players that should have stepped up weren't put in a position to do it. They called their offensive play calling was horrible. I mean, the only good thing was Drake May. The only good thing was Drake May. Every other football team took a step backwards. And I'm trying to be objective here. I don't know how anyone could have watched that season and think anything but that.
Well, I'm looking at it objectively also. And I remember what you said about the roster before the head coach was even hired. What did you say?
It still got better. It should have got better from the worst to not the worst.
It's the worst roster. Your words, it's the worst roster in the NFL. How do you make chicken shit with chicken salad?
We couldn't lose the one.
We couldn't even lose
game we needed to lose, Nate. Come on, man.
So you're saying you think was that the straw that broke the camel's back? We didn't they won the last game, so then now he's fired?
He was fired after the Chargers game.
I think so too. Yep.
After the Chargers game. Well, we didn't show any fight, any grit, anything. He was gone after that. And that's
so you let the players decide. Is that what you're saying? You let the players decide who?
That's when he threw the OC under the bus when they asked him for not running the foot, doing it. No, it was the week before. Yeah. They asked why.
You said it. You said it. I didn't.
You said it.
I was like, what?
Every step of the way. Like, what's the next topic? We won this one.
There's no winning or losing. There's no winning or losing, but I don't think that I agree with everything that you guys are saying. But they hired him to do a job. Did he fail at that job? Yeah, but I mean, he honored the contract. Like, he's a rookie coach. What did you expect? He's a rookie coach who never run an offense, never run a defense.
Honor the contract. What is his contract? Tell us what his contract is.
It was a 3-year contract.
So we got to sit this out another 2 years?
No, I'm saying give him another year.
You don't get the games down there? You don't want to see another 2 years of this. I guarantee you don't.
No, I'm gonna
say. All right, hold on. Zach, you're the GM. All right, you're the GM. Tell me what your plan is for the hires that are going on, who you're going to bring in, who you want to hire, who's the next best candidate, and then what your plan is moving forward.
That's a good next topic. Well, how are we moving forward, Zach?
I mean, obviously, there's multiple reports, but I certainly am.
No, I'm sorry, Zach. You are Elliot Wolf. You're no longer Zach. Elliot Wolf. Mr. Wolf, what is your plan moving forward?
Let's go.
Bill Belichick, come on back, buddy. We're gonna get you your record right here in New England. And we're gonna do it. We got you a quarterback. You come back. If I'm Elliot Wolf, well, no. If I'm the actual GM, yeah, we got to get rid of Elliot Wolf because he's got no fucking clue what he's doing. But if I was the GM, we'd get you going in the right direction. We'd have the #1 overall pick right now. I guarantee you that. Because there ain't no way we're winning that last game. Like,
well, I mean, you can't beat that dead horse. We're drafting fourth, so we're drafting fourth. We didn't think we'd be in this position, but.
No, Nate, I'm a homer through and through. I love myself some Bill Belichick. So if you give me that power, that's where I'm going. But in all reality, like, I have no problem with Vrabel or Ben Johnson. Like, I like the thought of Vrabel, and I mean, I like McDaniels. I don't hate McDaniels. I thought he did good things when he had a quarterback.
No.
As an offensive coordinator, he was good in New England under Bill Belichick as an OC. He was. Sure. I mean, you can't say he wasn't. I agree wholeheartedly. He was not good when he went out on his own. I think we all can agree on that. But here in New England, in a setting under a Vrabel, he was a good offensive coordinator for Tom Brady, right? I mean, but I think I could be a good offensive coordinator for Tom Brady, right? And I've never coached football. He had Tom Brady. He was a good offensive coordinator. He was a good offensive coordinator for Mac Jones the one season he was here.
Yes.
Mac Jones made the Pro Bowl. We all thought we found our quarterback.
Right?
And then he leaves, and what happened to Mac Jones?
Oh, I don't know. Matt Patricia happened to Mac Jones.
I mean, we made the playoffs with Mac Jones as a rookie. With him as our OC. Now I feel like I'm dominating this podcast. I'm going to shut up a little bit. You guys,
don't shut up. Keep going.
No, I asked you.
Thank you. Well,
I wish you shut up a couple minutes ago.
I'm chirping in his ear here. I get this all the time.
Sick of this guy. Who invited him on anyway?
So the question you guys got to ask yourself: what about Bill O'Brien?
I think he's happy with BC.
He's a BC now. He's irrelevant.
I like him at BC too, to be honest.
I think he's very happy where he is.
He's good. He's done.
Recognized on the national stage again, and I think Bill. I think he can bring him up.
He's a solid guy. He was solid. He took Houston and made them respectable. I mean, and he's an offensive guy, so he would definitely help Drake May. I think that if you need a stopgap in between or someone to kind of build it back up and then make it respectable, then if you find he doesn't get where he's going, you can move on from him and nobody will be upset. But that's just me. I think Bill O'Brien is a builder. He's not a sustainer.
Agreed.
That's how I see it.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't want Bill O'Brien.
He didn't build much with our offense last year. He was our OC. He was our OC last year.
I don't think I want Bill O'Brien around Drake. I don't want him around Drake Mack.
Wait, who are you saying was our OC last year?
Bill O'Brien.
I'm telling you,
Bill Belichick's last season, our offense was putrid.
If I get a notification right now that says we hired Mike Vrabel and he's bringing on Josh McDaniels, I will take all your vitriol. I don't care. I would be fucking thrilled about that.
Yeah, no, I don't want Vrabel.
I would be thrilled.
I don't want Vrabel. Here's why I don't want Vrabel. I don't want to.
Yeah, part of the contract. Yeah. Let him finish.
Sorry, I haven't seen you in a while. I'm excited.
So can you tell me who they've interviewed?
They've interviewed Pep Williams, fucking Byron Leftwich, Mike Vrabel, and then Ben Johnson today. That's it.
You know who Pep Hamilton is?
Yes.
Who's he worked with? Quarterbacks.
Yep. But no. Fuck. Okay, go ahead.
Well, he's worked specifically with Justin Herbert and Andrew Luck, along with a few others. But here's what I would do if I were the GM. I don't want Mike Vrabel only because he had Derrick Henry on his offense and they finished 16th. Now, granted, he had whatever his name is from Texas A&M and Miami as a quarterback. Yeah. I think I don't want him because he's almost a perfect fit. He's too perfect. I want to bring in somebody that has not been part of the history, right? Because it's a new team. I would say Gerard Mayo was part of the history. So let's exit that strategy right now. Bring in somebody new and fresh. I don't want to rinse and repeat with Josh McDaniels. Bill O'Brien. I mean, although they're good candidates and we should interview them, but I think we should definitely do our due diligence with somebody like a Ben Johnson or somebody that has coaching experience in the NFL and is offensive minded. And not only that, we should do that because who's the first person that's going to be up for a hiring position or head coaching position? Like we've talked about, the next whiz bang offensive coordinator. If our OC turns out to be that because we have Drake May, then it's going to turn like we're always going to have turnaround in that aspect. So I would do my due diligence as the GM, and I would bring in somebody that's offensive minded because they're going to stay there, and their offensive philosophy when the OC leaves is going to go away. But I would also want to build like a revolving coaching door on the offensive side. And I would start by hiring specifically Drake May's offensive coordinator from UNC, who doesn't work at UNC anymore. His name's Chip Lindsey. Bring him on as an assistant OC. There's somebody there that's familiar with him, and he's also the OC in waiting. And he's going to be developed.
I want to go in here and you say, well, we don't want to rinse and recycle. What I will say, didn't Bill Belichick venture off and then come back?
I don't want Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick ventured off he was under Parcells for a long time, left,
went to Cleveland,
and then came back, and then he went back in there and then he built and then he took it over. So bringing someone back isn't a bad thing. I think the other part of it is that when you don't like Vrabel because you want to bring him, you cannot build your team specifically for one player. So I think what Vrabel brings is a physical, tough mentality. He also understands the weather, so we're going to need to be able to run the ball. Now, and by the way, he had some winning seasons and made some playoff runs when he had a solid team and he had some decent receivers. Now, his last couple years weren't great, but again, that's where you go. If you're Vrabel, you say, okay, now I need to get me. You can go bring that guy from UNC and say, hey, I'm going to make you the quarterback's coach, and then go get me a good offensive coordinator and bring that guy in and go from there. I just think that it's a team. The mentality of the team. It's going to be about building who you are, and it's got to be more than just building around Drake May. It's got to be about, hey, this is who we are. This is how our organization is run. This is how this is the standard that is expected here, and I'm going to hold that standard. And so that's where I'm not opposed to bringing a guy back, but as long as they're not the standard is standard like Mike Tomlin and then make me want to throw up again in my mouth. But
I just want to get away. I want to get away from any player coaches that were with the Patriots, and that it's not like they're living on their laurels, right? Like, or what they did in the past. But I don't want them. Whoever I would prefer, I'd love to have Ben Johnson come in, like have him with total control of the offense. But then also, I hope the GM has a plan for the defensive side of the ball because we need help there as well. And like, there's a lot of very seasoned veteran coaches out there that have good records as a defensive coordinator and have had historically good defenses, on their side of the ball, on whoever they've coached, no matter where they've gone and the personnel that they've had, and they've adjusted, their system to fit the needs fit their player personnel, right?
Oh.
I don't want Vrabel mostly because of the way the offensive side of the ball was when he was with Tennessee. Like, they were mid. The number 16 was the best offense that he had with a Hall of Fame running back. And if we're talking about, like you said, Jose, if we're talking about knowing the culture, knowing everything, the weather, and we need somebody that can run the ball, I don't disagree with you, but I don't like his track record on the offensive side of the ball, and I'd rather see us bring in an offensive-minded coach. I'd love to see somebody like a Vrabel, although he's not a candidate for that because he should be a head coach somewhere, and he shouldn't get fired his first year. But I'd like to see somebody on the defensive side of the ball that has acumen on that, and then an offensive-minded coach to oversee the offensive side of the ball and hire who he feels fits his offensive philosophy as an offensive coordinator.
I don't think that. I think that the formula is tried and true. Is a defensive-minded coach with an up-and-coming offensive coordinator. I will take a guy like Vrabel to solidify a solid defense. Now, you keep talking back on his time in Tennessee. Like, who wouldn't plan around a Hall of Fame running back? Like, that was a generational
with no quarterback.
With no quarterback, you've got a running back that can dominate the ball. You're going to tuck it in. You're going to run it up the middle. And you're going to do it again and again and again and again. And that's what they had. I think he coached to the roster. And I think if you bring him in New England, we have the personnel on the defensive side of the ball that if we bring a defensive-minded coach in, he can make us competitive right out of the gate. And I'm not against with the number 4 pick taking a guy like an Abdul Carter. Did you see what that guy did? He's legit. This defensive end out of
Penn State.
Penn State. Number 12. We saw the lineup with all the number 12s for them. I'm not against that. I think it's a little controversial, but I do think he is a top of the draft talent who's going to dominate in the NFL. Absolutely dominate. And I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up being the best player in this draft. And if a guy like Vrabel comes in and you're able to build defensive talent around him, a defense can carry you for multiple years, especially when you have a quarterback the skill of Drake May. Now, you come in, solidify the defense, bring an offensive coordinator in that can build around Drake May. We have the most important piece of any offense in the NFL. Like, you can bring in I don't care your offensive coordinator. I mean, I care, don't get me wrong, but it's more important to have a really good quarterback. I think we got it. And if we can build our defensive up, I think that Drake May, with the right pieces around him, can be that guy. He can be that generational quarterback. I think we might have hit lightning in a bottle twice, if you're asking me the truth. So I'm going to go defense coach and a younger offensive coordinator to come up with Drake May, kind of mature together. I like that formula.
Yeah. And I'm like the guy who will say, we don't want to go backwards. I will go backwards all day long.
Mike Vrabel's legit.
Bring me some Vrabel and bring me some Josh McDaniels, and let's see what we do. And then maybe Josh McDaniels goes and he'll never be a head coach in the NFL again, but like maybe he earns it in college somewhere. To your point, Wally, we get a younger offensive coordinator who helps Drake May. Man, I don't understand why Patriots fans and talk radio, let's get away from the Patriot way. Oh, I'm sorry. That makes perfect sense. They won 6 Super Bowls. Let's move away from that. That makes let's get away from that shit. I hate winning Super Bowls. It makes no sense to me.
None.
Vrabel, McDaniels, hell, I'll take Romeo Crennel right now. I'm not serious about that, but I'm just saying, like we had success. It makes sense. I would take Belichick back right now as a head coach with
So let's talk about that success then. Let's talk about every coach that's been under Bill Belichick that's gone on to another organization. How well have they done? Let's talk about that.
We're talking about the New England Patriots.
And Vrabel never coached with Belichick.
Not a single time.
He's not on his coaching tree.
He was a player. He was a player.
Was a player. He was a player.
That's not under his coaching
I mean,
tree.
the same with Jared Mayo, right? He was a player under Bill Belichick.
Gerard, and he coached under him for the last 4 or 5 years. He was his successor.
He's not wrong about that. I would say again, it's just one of those things. Defense can keep you in, and you don't want to be like Buffalo, where your quarterback has to have a great game, or you're just not going to
right.
Yeah.
You want to be able to. You want to you got to be able to win ugly. I mean, hell, we were winning with Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett. We're winning with Russell Wilson. I mean, the
I'm
Steelers
trying
defense
to be like
keeps them in
Buffalo.
every.
Yeah,
The Steelers defense
I feel
keeps them in
I
every
would
game.
pay money to be like Buffalo.
I
right?
really would like to be Buffalo right now.
Yeah, give me Buffalo.
Yeah, but I'm just saying though. I mean, it's like you got Josh Allen, and he's carrying, and unfortunately for him, if he doesn't play great, they're not going to get there, and it's unfortunate for him because it would be nice. Imagine Josh Allen if he had a semi-functional defense where I only got to
Oh
score
my God.
28 instead of 42.
Three
He'd
Super
never
Bowls.
lose. You know what I mean? But he's scoring 42 points and losing. I mean, it's atrocious. So, that's why I'm not I like offensive coaches are nice and they put up pretty numbers. But the reality is when you see the teams that win, look at their defenses. Defenses, the Patriots were winning with defense. Tom Brady was, Tom Brady was, when he was young, they won their first 3. He was learning. Ben Roethlisberger, he was young, learning. Russell Wilson, he got his Super Bowl. They had the Legion of Boom. Just go down the line. Kansas City is not, the offense is in as prolific as it is, but why are they winning? Why do they have the number 1 seed? Their defense is balling.
Well,
Sorry.
yeah, but it was because of their offense they won the last 3, though. I would say. I mean, last year was a little bit more defensive minded, but certainly Kansas City's first 2 was all offense. Their defense was pretty.
But they made plays when they needed to. That's the thing, is they stepped up and made plays when they needed to. In those runs, they weren't great during the season, but in the playoffs, they took it to another level. And I think that's where you got to sit down and look. And I love Andy Reid in the mindset that he's a guy that, he's an offensive guy, but he understands I need to get the best defensive coordinator to go with me.
I'll give you fellas another little fun fact. Out of the top 10 defenses in the league this year, 9 of them are in the playoffs. And out of the top 10 offenses this year, how many do you think are in the playoffs?
9.
9. You were listening to the radio, Chet.
I sure was.
Yeah. So that's kind of.
But hey, break it down to the bottom 3. Who's going to make the Super Bowl? Top 3 defense or top 3 offense?
Well, I mean,
top 3 defense.
I think defense.
Kansas City. Kansas City's winning the Super Bowl.
So top 10 defense, right?
I hope they lose in the first round.
Kansas City, they gotta go. We gotta get rid of them somehow. I don't care who's playing Kansas City, they gotta win.
I mean, right? You look at Kansas City; they had a mediocre season, 16-1. Like what's wrong with Kansas City's offense? Nothing.
Well, I mean, and Patrick Mahomes not even in the MVP candidate conversation.
They have Pat Mahomes.
Worst season statistically.
They're beatable.
He's so goddamn good.
They're beatable.
So goddamn good.
Beatable. Well, I do hope that they do their due diligence. I mean, I wonder who's sitting in on these interviews. I feel like it's got to be the Crafts, it's got to be the GM, but I wonder, aside from those 3, who else is in the room when they're doing the interviews? And I'd like anonymously, right? If whoever's on this panel that's doing the hiring, anonymously, they develop their top 2 candidates, and then everybody submits those, and then the top 2, after all the interviews are said and done, they're the ones that get the next interview. If that makes any sense. I don't want it to be like Robert Kraft saying, no, this is the guy that we're bringing in. We're only bringing 1 in for a second interview. I'd like multiple people, at least two coaches to become invited back for a second interview, potentially, again, to pick their brain a little bit more. I also think, as far as the hiring process is concerned, we know that there's the Rooney Rule, right, where so many minorities have to be interviewed.
Hamilton, Leftwich.
Right, but so here's what I'm saying is my point to that. Like, I'd love for there to be like a way that we can see a section of the interview, including all the other organizations in the NFL. By that I mean videotaped is generalized questions about coaching philosophy, this and that, not based off of the questions that I'm going to ask you off camera, which the majority of the interview will take take place off camera. But I'd love to see some of the answers to the questions, a generalized question, just like it would be if a reporter's asking a question when they interview you. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'd love for that to be part of. I don't know how. I know that the NFL there isn't like a coaching candidate pool, right? There isn't like a long laundry list of every person that's in the NFL coaching that wants to or aspires to be a head coach, and you can pull off of that list. But I think that there should be something like that, and I think that when you interview for a position like that, some of that interview should be put on there so that you can see through that interview process, like how they answer the questions, how they handle themselves, and then that would develop. It's almost like it's better than your resume, for crying out loud. Like, does anybody else?
Walter, I see you. I see you. What's going on?
What?
I see you lean forward. Whenever you lean forward, I know you're about to talk.
No, I'll be happy to. I feel like they're all private entities. So, like, if you're a private individual, there's a lot of different factors you go into your hiring decision. But to put that out in the public is, boy, oh boy, I don't know. I think it makes for good media, but I don't know.
I think you're misunderstanding me. I'm not saying out to the public for me as somebody on NFL.com to watch. I mean for each organization within the NFL to watch, to be able to pull from that coaching candidate. Not like you sitting at your house in your underwear eating Cheetos.
I think different coaches. Now you're just being hurtful.
Wait, so there's just
I like Cheetos. I like Cheetos. There's nothing wrong with them.
I love
Flaming hot all day.
Here's the thing. I think that different organizations are going to ask different questions, and they don't want to give up their proprietal. Like, they may have a slant that other teams aren't thinking of, and they want to go.
Wally, I said.
I don't want to have a universal set of questions.
No.
It doesn't make any sense.
What's this guy? This guy's man of crazy takes tonight, huh?
No, this is normal.
No,
There should be universal questions for that reason, because they're recorded and it's data for NFL organizations to collect and add that person to their coaching candidates.
Go to a podium any Sunday when they interview the guy.
Yeah.
What?
Every interview is going to be different.
All right, moving on. What do y'all want to talk about next?
If I'm going to hire a guy for head coach, I want to bring him in and I want to keep him there from sun up to sundown. I want to see the work ethic. I want to put him through the ringer. I want this to be a multi-hour, intensive, multifaceted interview. Like, I want to see this guy under duress. I don't want to see a tape of some other dude interviewing him. I want him to go run suicides on the fucking floor. This is what I want to know everything about this guy, because this is a huge commitment.
When
the head coach is
when John Gruden was hired by the Raiders, he was there for 4 days. They put him through an interview.
Yeah.
4-day process.
I love it.
Well, Zach, they should have fucking checked his email history first.
That's bullshit. He still should be in the league. That guy got blackballed. That's bullshit.
No. That was just my attempt at haha.
Yeah. Well, fuck you.
I mean,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I don't know, Nate. I think each team has their own criteria. And
yes, you guys are misunderstanding.
I get what you're saying. You have a generalized. It's a kind of a standardized, if you want to equate it to a standardized test that you give to everybody. But at the end of the day, I think when you're interviewing someone, you're reading body language. You're reading, because you have an expectation of, okay, when I ask this, I expect this. When I want to answer to this, I want that. And my expectation, someone may, go, oh, well, that was a great answer. But the reality is that's not what I'm looking for. So it's team specific. So, and again, it's one of those things. If I'm asking you these standardized questions, it's kind of like, okay, well, most teams are going to do what most teams do. They're going to breeze through all this stuff that's mandatory for the NFL. Here you go, take a look at it, and it's going to be so generic, it's going to be worthless. So that's
no, I don't think it would be worthless, because again, let's say the one standardized question is, what is your offensive philosophy? And then let me, as the owner of the New England Patriots, let me keyword search these interviews for this specific shotgun formation. I want to hear what everybody has to say about that. And then, like, how would that not be the same as a resume building, and I'm using an AI form to
There's
scan
a
the
hand up
resume
back.
for the same thing.
Like, let me give you like an analogy. Would it be like a combine for the coaches, like a standardized set of tests or measurements for a coach? Like I can get behind something like that. Like they do that for players, right? You come in, you take that test, you get measured for the long.
Well, it's not again.
Well, Zach has his hand up.
Barometer. Like I don't like give the guy an IQ test. Like I don't know. I'm like, well, what would the tests be? If you could have something that could be measured not subjectively, but like specifically, you know what I'm saying? Like it can't be subjective. If you could have a standardized set of measurements that could gauge how a coach would do, like a Wonderlic test for a coach, something that's something. But if you could do that, then I'm all for it. But I don't know how you would do it. It's too subjective.
If you think
There he is. There he is.
you think this guy needs to go on camera to give the league what their philosophy is. They're the offensive coordinator for another team in the NFL. You don't think that the team that's looking to hire them knows what their fucking philosophy is? They're trying to hire an offensive coordinator from another NFL team. They show what their philosophy is every week. That's why you like them. That's why you want them. They know more about this guy. Like you're interviewing this guy to get him to know him intimately, to know like who he is as a person, how he treats his players, who he is. Like hit him with the hard questions. You know what? You don't have time for the generic bullshit. You see it every Sunday at the podium. You know what he's running for an offense. You know who this guy is. Like this is foolish here. No, am I crazy?
Yeah.
I hope that the Patriots know Ben Johnson's philosophy by watching. Like, I'm not a football guy, but I hope the Patriots, by interviewing this man and wanting him to potentially become their next head coach, know everything about this guy. They want him to take over their franchise and run their franchise. They should know what this guy eats for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, absolutely.
Anybody else watching this whole Ohio-Texas game?
I am.
What a game. What a game. Sorry. No, I agree.
No. I'm watching the shit out of this right now to my left.
Where do you got, Jose?
And also, Jose, someone told me I want Notre Dame to win next week for my son. So which team? I'm rooting for Texas, right?
I've also did some.
Honestly,
I'm rooting for Texas.
Honestly, I think they beat them both.
Absolutely.
I think physically they could beat them both if they play clean.
Notre Dame can?
They played clean against Penn State and they beat Penn State. I think Penn State's as good as either one of those teams. Penn State blew the game against Ohio State. They had four inside the 10 opportunities and didn't score. So yeah, they Notre Dame can play with either one of them. So I don't know. I don't even know who's winning the game. I don't even have it on. I should have probably put it on.
I love the fact that you say that because like my son's like so excited. I have no idea.
So I'm not talking about a Wonderlic for coaches. I'm talking about Zach. You used Ben Johnson as an example. That dude has been a coaching candidate for like 3 fucking years, right? So yeah, everybody knows everything about him. I'm talking about Pep Hamilton, who you guys didn't know nothing about other than the Patriots, brought him in for an interview. I'm talking about somebody like that who wants to be considered as a head coach or for head coaching vacancies or any coaching vacancy. And then they do these standardized questions and then you get to see they're not just doing it in front of a camera like a Zoom, like what we're doing right now. They're actually, it is positions that they've hired for in the past or will hire for. And I don't know how that wouldn't benefit the organization. Yeah, they're going to do their due diligence and they should.
Hey, help me out. So why do you think, so it's like you're a champion of someone getting their first shot, which I will never hate that. Are you saying you're a champion of someone getting their first shot?
Yes, but I'm also a champion of how do we find the next guy that isn't Ben Johnson?
I will say
the
this,
Ben Johnson that we don't even know about.
I will say this: when you go to Pep Hamilton, there's tape on him. He's coached. You don't get an opportunity.
Yes. I'm not talking about him coaching on the field. You can interview a bunch of his players that he coached as well. But I'm talking about him interviewing because I want both informations. I want player feedback And I also want to see how they interview, because I don't care the questions that I'm going to give to you, you're not going to know the answers to, and like, I just want to see your reaction when you answer the questions. And that's normally how interviews go, right? Like, you can BS your way through some stuff, and that's okay. And that's what we want you to do. But like, again, I want both sides of that. And I can only get one side before you sit down with me. And I'm talking about trying to get potentially both sides.
Well, again, that goes back to when you're coaching, and the coaching circle is small. So people know people, and your product is on the field. So people are watching you, and they're also watching you on the side on how you interact with your players. So that is all on film already. I think the big thing, and I would think where Zach and Wally are saying is, you want to know the man. Who are you? What do you stand for? What are your principles? What is the culture you want to bring? And those things, have to align with what you're looking for. But everybody goes about finding that answer a different way. So I don't know. I mean, I think it would be good for media for them so they can have more talking points. But I think at this point we're information overload with these, ex players and everybody, so-called experts. Because, when you got Dan Orlovsky, who was horrible in the NFL, was okay in college.
He's a candidate for offensive coordinator.
And here he is, this is that. He's an expert. I mean, really? I mean, I could have probably lost 16 games with the Lions too, but I just don't get it. I don't, to me, it's like some of these people talk, and it's like, I would just rather
this is the game right here.
Let the organization handle their business privately, and then when it fails, they'll have to answer to it privately, individually. So just kind of. I don't know. I don't think I would, if I'm interviewing somebody, I don't care what he did or talked to or what his answer was with anybody else. I want to know what he's going to do with me. So that's my viewpoint on it.
Yeah, I agree. But that's also what's going to get him in the door, right? I'm just talking about since we are interviewing you. Oh man, that sucks.
Game over. Ohio.
Is that a live play? Is that a live play?
Yeah, it's live. Game
Texas
over.
got put away.
Yeah.
He just
Ohio State wins.
Quinn Ewers fumbled on the sack.
That's it.
I will say this, Nate. Eric Bieniemy is a perfect example of that. He's gotten plenty of interviews. Why hasn't he gotten a job? He probably doesn't interview well, and two, personalities matter. And I don't think I watched Eric Bieniemy, and he's just kind of I don't see him being a leader of a whole team. I just don't. I've seen some of his conversations. I've seen some of his interviews. I wouldn't hire him. And that's the whole point. You sit down, but his name keeps coming up, and people, nobody. He doesn't even get college coaching jobs, which he coached Patrick Mahomes, this, that, and the other. He's got all the NFL experience. Why can't he even get a college coaching? He can't. You got Deion Sanders walked in and got a college coaching job. Somebody else just got one now. I forget who it was. Walked in, and now they're coaching in college. How is he not able to with all his experience? Well, it's just his personality. People see him and they're like, no, you're not going to lead us anywhere. You're better being a coordinator. That's your gift.
How many years until Deion's in the NFL?
Bieniemy?
Who knows? I think no.
How many years
Deion.
until Deion?
Do you think the Patriots should interview him?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
He came out today and said he would only go to the league if he was coaching one of his sons.
Deion, yeah.
No, he didn't say one. He didn't say one.
He wants to coach.
He said both of them. He said both of them.
Yeah.
But that opens the door for any organization. So
I don't think Deion's his talent is in college because of his personality, his draw, his ability for NIL, this, that, and the other. NFL players are already making $1 million. They don't really care about it, all that. Yeah, they're going to want, and if you look, he went 8-4. He got so much hype and they went 8-4, and then they got the brakes beat off from by BYU in the bowl game. He needs some more seasoning. I don't think he's ready.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree as a coach, but I do think that decisions aren't always made strictly based on ability. Sometimes it's made based on marketability. And
Is
there's,
it?
there's very
No.
few there's very few human beings on this earth. I would argue there's probably no other human being on this earth that has more marketability or is better at the social aspect of a coaching job or any job than Deion Sanders. But he is good. He's smooth. Everything. I don't know that I've ever seen anyone that is as articulate and intelligent and consistently on as Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
He's good.
I don't disagree with you there. I will say this though. If you're going to the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Arizona Cardinals, yeah. A perfect fit because now you're going to get attention that you were never going to get.
Yeah.
The New England Patriots,
Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, Dallas Cowboys. There's just even the Giants. They're teams with they sell themselves and they have such loyal fan bases that they don't need they don't need to sell. They don't need that. That bump in publicity because they already got it. They're talking about the Cowboys now, and they're not even in the playoffs. They're talking about the Giants now; they're not even in the playoffs. So
I'm willing to bet within 2 years, Deion Sanders is in the NFL.
Yeah, but again, if I'm Jacksonville, I'm going to him. I'm definitely going to talk.
It's a draw. He's a draw, right?
Yeah, and because one, you're gonna fill your stadium. Two, it's no problem draw. You're going to get rid of Trevor Lawrence anyway.
Yeah.
So you bring in Shador and you bring in Deion. Now you have this media circus is going to follow him, and Jacksonville is going to get so much publicity. So
he's from Florida, isn't he?
Yeah, he played at Florida State and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, but he grew up in Florida.
I think so. He might have. But I'm saying, like I said, for a team like that's media starved. Yeah, you want a Deion, but for certain teams, you just don't need it. You're big time ready. The Packers don't need it. You know what I mean? Certain teams just don't need him. But there's teams out there that are obscure that nobody cares about. That he'd be interesting. In certain areas. Even in Miami's got dropped to such irrelevancy, other than with the two concussions, that he would be a good fit there. But I just don't. I don't think that anywhere that's like New England, Pittsburgh, New York, either New York team. Dallas, anybody that has a brand name, they don't need him.
I'd love to see him. Selfishly, I'd love to see him in the NFL. I love everything about that man. I consume his content like a maniac because I really enjoy his message and I enjoy I really like him. I like his interactions with his sons. His sons are all really interesting dudes too, and they're well spoken and they seem to be good, solid individuals who I hope will do well in this league. I've enjoyed his kind of coming to the forefront of the social media world over the last few years.
Well, you look what he did for you look what he did for Colorado. Colorado's tickets, their stadium was empty and their tickets were cheap. If you had a 20 in your pocket, you could go to a Colorado game. Now, you can't touch a Colorado game. They're packed. So.
And he's bringing in the big recruits too. Didn't he just sign? He just signed a bunch.
He's signing people. He's bringing in and again, he's good and his teams are solid. He's respectable and he's against the good teams. Nebraska throttled him, but at the end of the day, he went 8-4 but he brought so many eyes to Colorado that nobody was paying attention. So to me, if I'm an NFL team, I've got to look. Do I need his attention? Do I need? Because he's going to make people want to come there. He's going to make media come there. He's going to make companies want to. Hey, we want Deion. We want our logos up there where Deion's at because we know a lot of people are going to have eyes on it. Again, that's where you're looking at teams that hey, if I'm one of these desperate teams that nobody cares about, yeah, I definitely want a piece of him.
Do you think let's play out the Jaguar scenario? Do you think the Jaguars, let's say they do interview Deion and he says he accepts the job. Do you think the Jaguars are willing to move Trevor Lawrence and then draft both of his sons in this upcoming draft?
No.
Because Trevor Lawrence has some value still, like, but I
Well,
think
absolutely.
with Jacksonville, he's peaked. Like I don't in that organization, I don't know if he can accomplish any more than he already has. With another organization, I think he could, but I still think he has value as a quarterback in the NFL. Even with the contract, he could be moved.
Well,
But
he's
what do
still
you?
young. He's definitely young. So I mean, and he's definitely there's upside to him. He has. I don't think he's been developed as well as he could have been. I don't think he's
Yeah.
been put in the right position. From Urban Meyer to Peterson, I don't think either one of them understood what he was and who he was. So I think Jacksonville, if they could get, hey, if I can get a good draft pick out of it, they'll probably eat a little cash and ship him out. If I can get Deion Shador, and a draft pick out of Trevor Lawrence, yeah, I definitely can see it. It would definitely, to me, and honestly, I don't think Trevor Lawrence would fight it. I think he'd be like, you know what, I'd like a fresh start. Sam Darnold got to go to Minnesota, got a fresh start, and look what he did. So let me go somewhere else and get a fresh start.
Yeah.
I definitely, I mean, you go to Trevor Lawrence, like send him up to the Jets or the Giants. What's the worst? I mean, it can't be no worse than what the Jets had over the last 5 years. So,
Yeah.
they
Speaking
can,
of a
if they can
fresh
find something
start.
there.
Speaking of a fresh start, the Patriots have 131 million in cap space next year. Do you think
And
do you think in what world do you think that management will not spend that and just save it like they
Oh,
did this year?
I think one, the NFL has a rule you have to spend so much money. Can't put any. But I think that now that they know Drake May's kind of the real deal, I think they're going to invest in him, through the draft and maybe in free agency. Hey, let's get a couple guys to keep him upright.
can I tell you
Because the
what my
Patriots,
biggest fear is? My biggest fear is that they're not able to sign top tier free agents, and the good players don't want to come here, so they overspend for mid level players to try to appease assholes like us. And we end up with overpriced 1 or 2 3-year deals for guys we don't really want to have. This is my biggest fear, and I feel like they may just, if they can't get the players they want, they may just spend so that we shut up. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm scared to death that might be the case, because I just am so disenfranchised with the way they've been run over the last few years.
yeah.
Well, that's
But
also
I mean,
that's
yeah.
also why they need to not hit a home run, but whoever the coaches that they hired, their philosophy and everything that they're going to do with the team, their hopes and dreams of what they want the team to be, that needs to be part of the pitch to any free agent. And they've got to be convincingly
Yeah, yeah.
it's got to be a convincing. Yeah, they've got to convince everyone that they want to walk through that door that what I'm selling, you need to be buying it and you need to be on board with it.
I'll take it a step further. If I'm a free agent, I'm not going to consider signing with a team unless I know and I'm confident in the head coach. It's such a big part of your stats and your future. So why would you sign blindly with an unproven? Like if I'm a player, like money's like. I want to sign into a system I believe in. So you need to believe in that head coach. You need to buy into their system. So I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. I hope they hit some home runs. That's for sure. I would not be upset if they spent all 131 of that on the defensive line and the offensive line. Like I'd like to see him get a wide receiver, but I don't know. We're not ready unless we have the infrastructure to
Well,
protect the quarterback.
here's the thing, Nate. When has New England had top flight wide receivers?
Yeah, I don't want them drafting wide
Never,
receivers.
never.
Wide receivers you can get. Pittsburgh has proven you can get receivers in the third round.
We can't
We get them
draft
all.
wide receivers.
We get them all the time. But yeah, but again, if you're the Patriots, I would go heavy draft, get that offense, like you said, get that offensive defensive line set up. That way Drake May has 3, 4, 5 seconds to throw the ball, and then you can start getting receiver. You go find your little Wes Welkers and all these other guys in free agency. You know what I mean? You go find these little schlubs that can run these quick routes and get open, and go back to what you were doing, and then find your Curtis Martin, find your Corey Dillon, find your running backs that, hey, they can get it done in the snow. So I think that's where I would do it. I would definitely focus on offensive defensive line in free agency and in the draft. if I'm New England, because that's where you need it most. You don't have your Richard Seymours, you don't have your Mankins, you don't have all those Teddy Bruschi's or any of these guys that were in the middle, making it happen. So I just think you need to get back to that because that's where they used to dominate everybody. Tom Brady can just sit back there and pick his teeth and scratch his ass. So let's get back to that.
Yeah, I want him to fill the holes through free agency, and then I'd love to see him draft. Even though we're not good at it, I'd still be fine with them drafting the best option at wide receiver. Because again, it's on that rookie contract, just like the quarterback. If they develop, fine, it'll be capital for us in the long run. And then I'm tired of the days where we, like Wally said, we overspend for a mid-level free agency. I don't want to see that. I think gone are the days where we pick up a Randy Moss for a 5th round draft pick and then have Tom Brady throwing bombs to him. Like that's just not realistic.
And
I don't live in that world, but
no, I mean it's crazy. I was surprised that Pickens hung around. There's a couple of receivers out there. Yeah, because he was really on the outs with Pittsburgh for a while. And he's still.
We haven't drafted a good wide receiver since Edelman. Like we have no business drafting wide receivers. Let's hope to Christ we can sign him free agency. And I agree. Go line. We need a left tackle. Go that kid from LSU. I'm really okay with Abdul Carter at 4. Like I think he is a big time player, and I think he's going to make huge plays in the NFL. I'm going to stay away from wide receiver. I have no faith in our ability to draft or develop wide receiver. We haven't done it in almost 20 years.
Yeah, and hey, find yourself that tight end. You got to go find your next Gronk. You guys have been good at that.
Hunter Henry looks pretty good with Drake May tossing him the ball. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, if we resign him.
I mean, I'd like to see that. Hopefully that's part of their philosophy, right? There's a couple tight ends coming out this year that look pretty promising. Dude from Notre Dame.
Top of the draft level, though, right? Like we're not talking top 5.
No, not 4. No. I would rather. I think they can get Carter lower than 4. I'd be fine with them trading down, stepping down.
I don't know,
I think after it's showing
he's so good. He's so good.
Yeah, he had such a good Orange Bowl. He just looked amazing. It's hard for me to think he's going to drop out of the top 5.
I think we're getting him at 4. I think we're getting him at 4.
Yeah, you can get him at 4. I mean, and again, that addresses your defensive line, which defensive line. If I'm a Patriots fan, I'm like, I don't care. Give me either side of the ball on the line, and I'm happy.
Part of me, if I'm being honest, part of me hopes that they draft him and somebody drafts him ahead of us, and Travis Hunter drops back to 4. I know it's crazy, but a guy can dream.
You want Travis Hunter?
I want Travis Hunter. Yeah.
Well, we really only need one of the 3 to do that, right? That's not a
quarterback. Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are going ahead of in the top 3 for sure, in my opinion, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not really sold on Travis Hunter. I think he's a little small. I think he's a solid right. He's good both ways. I think he's a solid nickel back, but a slot corner. But I don't know. I think some of those, like Justin Jefferson in Minnesota, boy, I think he would have his way with Travis Hunter. But that's just me. I don't think I don't know if he's physical enough. Great cover guy. He can cover, but is he physical enough?
Well, if he's playing both ways, that's what I want. I don't want him to be the physical corner who's going to get injured, injure his shoulder, injure something, being the physical guy. If he's going to play both ways, which I hope that he does. But I think, he's still young, so he'll put on some muscle. He'll develop. Yeah, he'll develop and get some weight on him and some strength. I think he has proved to be fairly durable, even though it's at the collegiate level.
Very happy if he drops to 4. I'd be very happy if he drops 4. Mel Kiper was talking. I think it was Mel Kiper was talking to somebody, and they were saying that as a wide receiver alone, they draft him in the top 3.
Yeah.
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 And he has return
Yeah.
skills, so that definitely fills a lot of needs.
Yes.
Even if he
I
was,
would,
yeah.
I'd love to see, yes, I hope somebody does not pick him in the top 3. Because you're right, it's probably gonna be Shador and Cam Ward for sure. I don't know what order, but they'll be the top 2 quarterbacks taken, and then whoever the third person or the third team, or it could be the second team, who knows. But if they end up taking somebody other than Travis Hunter and he falls to us at 4, yes, that's a no-brainer again, because you get at a minimum a guy that can cover on as a corner and a guy that can catch passes. So there's
What do you hope happens at the 4? It's like, what do you hope happens, and what do you think will happen?
Oh, I mean, I hope the best case scenario is we end up with Travis Hunter.
Yeah,
I think worst case would be that we get either the best offensive tackle or the best defensive line guy.
Chet, what do you hope will happen, and what do you think will happen at 4?
Hope Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
What I think will happen will be some offensive linemen that they love.
Yeah. Jose,
Let me
what do
see
you?
what the
You're
draft-
not a Patriots fan, but what do you think will happen?
I think if everybody stays pat, I think it's going to probably be Carter. But if in that third pick, because I'm with you, the 2 quarterbacks are going to go somewhere in the top 3. So who the third person is, it's and again, Travis Hunter to New England isn't a bad thing.
No.
No.
And New England's been a good spot for guy corners. I mean,
yeah.
Go all the way back to Ty Law. I mean, they've done really good in that New England area, and it's been really good for their careers. So I definitely, it would definitely be a win for him, and I think it would be. I think he'd like it. I think New England's open to letting him play both ways. So.
Zach, same question.
Well, so my question is to you guys: why is Travis Hunter like the first and only guy that can go both ways? Like, why has this never been a thing before? Because this guy, he's not the biggest, he's not the fastest, he's not the strongest. Like, why is he the guy that's the first to go play offense and defense? Like, I love the fact that he's doing it, but like, same with like Ohtani. Like, why is he the first pitcher? Why is Travis Hunter the first football guy to do this?
Go ahead,
I think it takes a certain level of skill to play both sides of the field and be drafted, be thought that you can play on both sides of the field at the next level. There's so many holes that you can pick at. Same with like Ohtani, that's never happened because you're either a pitcher or a hitter, and there hasn't been any combination of the two because even the best pitchers have always been focused on their craft and what they can do, and like they seem to think, I shouldn't say they, but like I don't like using pronouns, but I would think that most pitchers that are really good up until Ohtani and even now, they're not going to pick up a bat and swing because they're afraid that they're going to hurt their throwing arm or something, Like
I don't know. It just seems I just don't get it. You can't tell me Terrell Owens couldn't cover somebody in the slot. You know what I mean? Some of these badass wide receivers, of course, they can play both ways, right?
Come on, Chet, spit it out, Chet.
You're telling me AJ Brown couldn't line up against somebody and shut him down? Like AJ Brown's a fucking beast.
Balls. The answer to the question is balls.
He's got bigger balls.
Anyone who's like, I'll play this side or that side, whatever helps the team, balls.
Yeah, but isn't that every kid in high school? Like, doesn't
but they're ushered to one side, they're ushered to the other, right?
Yeah, having coached high school football, these kids are being they're being put in on a side of a ball.
Yeah,
and it starts there. I will say, when I coached high school football in North Carolina, we literally picked guys, and there was guys. I had one, a kid that I had played for me, and I thought he would have been a great running back. And I was like, look, you need to run him at right. Well, we want him at linebacker. Yeah, but he'd be a great running back. The dude's fast, he's strong, and they ran him a couple a couple scrimmages at running back and did great, but they're like, no, we still like him at linebacker better.
I know.
I think part of it is a coaching ego thing, and then I think, like Chet said, it comes down to balls and do you have the heart? I think mentality wise, mentally, are you saying, hey, you know what, I'm not going to worry about getting hurt. I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna do this, and no one's going to stop me.
No.
And I don't. There's very few people have done that. I mean, it's just Deion Sanders, played both sides of the ball. Bo Jackson played multiple sports, and people told him they couldn't, but they just said, you know what, I'm so good I can. And
if you ask a player what made them great, they will tell you that 50% of it is overcoming bad coaching. They will also say 50% is good coaching. But 50% is overcoming bad coaching.
You don't say that at all.
What the fuck? Wait a minute.
I don't know.
Is that controversial? I'm ready. Let's go.
I just think it's like like I said, I think it's more, do they want to do that? I mean, Travis Hunter wanted to do that. Certain people want to do that, but there's people that you have a lot of people in your ear telling you, oh, well, you don't want to get hurt, you could do this, you're wearing your body out, you're going to shorten your career. You have all these people in your ear, and to me, you never know when you're going to get hurt anyway. So
that's my point.
I would have if I was in that position, I would be like, screw it, I'm playing both sides of the ball.
I also think when you get to that level, like there's very, like, you're talking the 99.999 percentile. So the details matter and the little things, and you have to train to such a level and be so precise in your ability that it takes constant repetition at both sides of that equation, right? So both on the offensive and the defensive side of the ball. So I don't think it's as easy as we who aren't those elite athletes. Excuse me, I don't speak for the rest of you. Maybe
I'm not that good, Wally. I'm not that good.
Elite athlete, but for myself, I like. It's hard to imagine a scenario where like they have to again, they're playing against the best of the best. So it's like they have to practice 100 times as hard as they can and hope they increase that 99.9%. So it's going to be really hard to do that on both sides of the ball and put the time and effort it will require to perform at that level.
I agree with that. I also again, it's a mentality. I mean, I will say that having been around a lot of kids, a lot of athletes, and my kids were athletes. One thing that I've learned is that people's mental makeup is, some people want to be stars, so you want to be on the offensive side. I want to be where I'm seen. And some people they just want to do the grind. They like hitting. They like so they're like there's people. I'm sure there was guys like Antonio Brown for the Steelers, great athlete, fast, probably could have covered somebody, could have played defensive back easy, but he liked scoring touchdowns and he wasn't interested in tackling anybody. He wasn't interested in shutting somebody else down. I would like to know how many of them say that would be a good question. Hey, how many of you were interested in doing this? And I don't think the number will be that great because I think it's mentality wise, like I don't really want to get into that. It's too much work, or I want to score a touch. I want the cheerleaders to come at me and everybody pat me on the back. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
You guys see it? It's Ohio State versus Notre Dame.
Nice.
Classic.
Yeah, we saw that
matchup. Can we have predictions, Nate? Nate, what's your call? What's your early prediction?
Ohio State by like 14. I don't think Notre Dame doesn't have a chance. They don't have receivers that can separate from the defense, and it's just not going to happen.
It's crazy. They just lost to Michigan like a month ago.
I know.
Isn't that insane? They're going to be national champions, and they just lost to Michigan.
Well, Notre Dame has one 5-star recruit on the team.
Yeah.
I couldn't even name them, but they have one. Ohio State literally has like 14 5-star blue chip recruits. Like,
who are you rooting for? Are you rooting for Ohio State, or are you not rooting for either team?
I hate Ohio State, if I'm being honest.
I'm kind of rooting for Notre Dame. Yeah.
I just like to see somebody not Ohio State or Alabama win the national title. So I'd probably root for Notre Dame.
I mean, if their defense just plays out of this world. It's doable.
Let's
I
go.
mean, we'll see. Do we think that there's any trade value in the draft for Joe Milton based off of what he showed even in the last game? I mean, he's a third stringer, right?
Fifth round.
Currently,
Fifth
he
round.
could be our backup, but like, if somebody wants to, go ahead.
Well, he's our second stringer. I think Brissett's gone. We're not going to repay him. I think we trust Milton, and then we would probably bring in a third older veteran at camp, and then probably cut him by the time camp's out. Milton looked good.
Milton looked
Did
good.
you see he
looked
threw
He did.
fastest football ever thrown in a game?
Did he really?
No. Take that back. The Green Bay quarterback has it right now, but Milton was second for the fastest football ever thrown.
Ever thrown or just this season?
No, overall, Tom Brady's 3 on the list overall. It was. Why am I drawing a blank on Green Bay's
Fastest
quarterback?
release.
Jordan Love,
Ball thrown.
just like snap and then release.
Jordan Love, miles per hour, like fastest football thrown in a game. Jordan Love was the fastest.
I did not see that.
Milton was 2, and then Brady's 3 overall.
Nate, fact check that, can you?
I'm going to, yeah. I think he's BSing.
Thank you.
Do we have it good? Yeah.
I didn't see that. I liked his game. Yeah, he's our backup quarterback. I don't think there's trade value for him quite yet, or more exactly, I don't want the Patriots to trade him quite yet because I like the idea of these two developing together. I feel bad for him because he's kind of blocked. But he looked good. I mean, he won the fucking game, and I can't blame him for winning the game. You saw his quote afterwards saying, like this might be my only opportunity. Why wouldn't I give it everything I've got? Like, you can't blame a guy like that for playing his ass off. I blame them for playing him. It should have been Brissett. Brissett can't win that game.
I agree with you, Wally. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. But I mean, it was nice for him. You know, it was good for him, and
yeah,
you know. And I think that with him and May, that definitely the quarterback room looks good for the future. And I think that's why you got to hold on to him. I wouldn't trade him. I like the quarterback room looks really good right now. And even with Brissett there, I mean, he's a good veteran that could, help those young guys. So keeping him around wouldn't be horrible if he's willing to not if he's not looking to get paid, that's for sure. So, but I mean, he should get paid a little bit for the abuse he took, but
yeah.
But no, I mean, I think that's a tough. I'm with you, Wally. I would hold on to him. I would definitely want to keep him around.
I think the snaps are the issue. You don't have enough snaps. You want Milton to get some snaps and practice and whatnot. I think we go into next season with the 2 quarterbacks. I'm excited for our quarterback future. Like there's one position I'm excited about. We need work in every single other one of the positions. Okay, quarterback check. Literally nowhere else can you check off that we're okay. Defensive line, not anymore. Offensive line, not anymore. Linebackers, nope. We need help in the secondary. We need help in wide receiver. There's nowhere we don't need help.
It says his was the second fastest in NFL history, but when I look at the top 5 fastest throws in the NFL, he's not in the top 5.
Well, I guess it's not updated.
And it has Zach Wilson as throwing a 69-mile-per-hour pass, and then Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. What's that?
What did they say Milton's was?
61.7.
I'm enjoying.
But it said that I think his was the second fastest this year, not in NFL history.
Yeah, but no, Tom Brady was 3rd on the list that I saw, though.
Not on the list that I just pulled up.
I don't believe it.
He's not in the top 5.
Screen share.
It just goes to show you speed isn't. It's not always cracked up to be. Accuracy and intelligence. I think quarterback play in so much of it is up here. They're really great ones. They just see it before it happens. They walk up the line like
a good fastball, though.
Oh, for sure,
a good fastball doesn't hurt.
Yeah, like someone's got to catch that thing. So I don't think you necessarily want to throw missiles like that.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, I mean, Vinny Testaverde threw a good fastball, but wasn't very great. So I just, like I said, when you're a quarterback, I said at any level, really, honestly, but when you get to the NFL, you got to be able to walk to the line and having those guys in your head telling you, yeah, it's nice that they're telling you what to play or whatever, but you got to be after once that microphone goes off, you've got to be able to decipher, and that's the difference between the good ones and the ones that are just talented. The ones that have talent but they don't have the IQ, they fall. The ones that are smart, they seem to rise to the top.
Yeah, you got to win pre-snap. That's how you're winning on the field. Is pre-snap, you know exactly what they're doing, or at least you have an idea, and that you should already know through your decision points. Like, well, if the safety shifts left, then I know how I'm going to react to that, and like, yeah, that's the part of being great where you're just, you love doing the homework, everything that leads up to the game. The game is everything that you do prior to the game makes the game that much easier. But you love doing the gritty work, the stuff that people hate doing, the practice, the studying, the film work, all that stuff. Oh,
Listen,
we're
boys,
never gonna see another Tom Brady. What?
No,
about that time.
It's not that time. What are you talking about? We haven't even talked about the we need to wrap up the starting five. Why don't you wrap that up for us, Wally?
I enjoyed the series. I enjoyed it start to finish. There was not a single player in this series that I didn't come out of feeling better about than I went into. Like, I didn't like Jimmy Butler going into that. I still don't like Jimmy Butler, but I don't like him less than I did at the beginning of the series. Sabonis, it was kind of boring if I'm being honest, but I didn't dislike him. Obviously I'm a Tatum guy. I enjoyed the whole series start to finish. I thought it was well done. I felt like it was I think the majority of it was a LeBron James slobber fest, right? Like it was really just to suck off LeBron for the most part, and they succeeded. He came out of there looking the best, like they went out of their way. I thought this was like LeBron and associates.
Did you guys see his switch crossover, left-handed dunk by any chance? Did
Say
you
that
guys see
again?
No,
LeBron highlight this week? The cross, the
oh yeah,
Yeah,
they
I
said
saw
he was
that,
he was like 25 again. 25 again. Yeah, I saw that.
40 years old, that guy. Just an absolute freak. Absolute
yeah,
freak.
yeah.
Yeah, he's juicing.
Whatever. Yeah, he might be. Yeah,
He's on some hormone therapy, but if you cycle on and off, it's okay.
Well, and I will say, I mean, again, the durability, he doesn't have to play that physical 90s, early 2000s,
Oh, this
basketball.
guy LeBron?
I don't know.
They basically opened the lane for him. I mean, these guys now, their defense parts like the Red Sea for these guys, so they're able to do these things. The old days, people would have knocked them on their ass. And said, yeah, you're not doing that. So,
You're talking Jordan versus Isaiah Thomas.
well, I'm talking about even with Kobe. Kobe era. They played defense. So yeah, I mean, I don't. When everybody says, "Oh, the players are more skilled," they're not. They just dribble a lot more.
They're more skilled.
They're not more. They're not more skilled. They just shoot threes all over the place. Their basketball IQ is nil versus what it used to be, and the physicality of the game, because you had to be to okay, I have to adjust to am I going to get here bumped here? Am I going to do this? And if I'm in mid-flight and this happens to me, these guys, they were thinking things through, back then. Now, these guys fry, if they get a fingernail on them. Oh my God, his hair brushed me. It's awful. I mean, and the worst, is like LeBron's a flopper, but Joel Embiid's the worst. The dude's like 7 foot tall and just soft. He's soft like a baby poop.
The funniest thing about LeBron flopping, he's the biggest guy in the court. So it's like me hitting him like this, and he goes, ah!
Yeah.
That
It's
dude
funny,
would eat me for lunch.
It's funny because he sits down. He plays basketball like a soccer player. You would think he was playing, soccer in
And
Europe.
seriously, respect. If you get away with it and that's a strategy, good for you.
Well, I mean,
Well, there's no getting away with it. He's just like, we watched Shaq get hammered, and Shaq was just a wall, and he'd absorb it. But if Shaq had reacted, he probably would have had 30 more thousand points because he would have had a bunch of and ones. Now he would have had to hit the free throws, which is
but he
another
hit at least
story,
one
but-
out of two. He was 50%, so
Yeah,
he'd at least have
exactly. So he'd
15,000.
have 15,000 more points. Like, I mean,
I agree
I
with
think that's part of the now that the NBA does have flopping, but I mean that's part of the reason why he is reacting, because he is a powerful human being. Like, he's a
Well, and it's
massive
part
dude.
of why the NBA sold their soul to LeBron a long time ago, and it's part of the reason why he has to hang around. Who's the next big star?
Jason Tatum.
Listen,
Who they don't market anybody else.
You guys are going to bed, and I love it. Zach,
You look at-
I'm not a
next
LeBron
time?
guy. I'm not a LeBron guy, but you can't minimize what he's done. Like what he's done over the course of his career, not only in terms of staying healthy for the vast majority of his career, but consistently be among the top 3 players in the league over a 20-year career. It's unheralded. Like, he's the leading scorer in NBA history. Now, again, I'm a Celtics fan, so I don't like LeBron, but I respect.
I will say that he hung around long enough to break records. He hung around to break records. 1, 2, the NBA carried.
Oh, stop it! He's still a top 40 player in the NBA.
Okay, think about it like this: everybody ate during his era. Everybody. He got shut down by Jason Barrera and Jason Kidd in Dallas. Everybody talks about his skill. He's not skilled. He just bullies people. He runs into you, knocks him, and then he cries to get a foul. He's a phenomenal talent. He doesn't play defense at all. He's a phenomenal talent, and he's very gifted, and he has his longevity. But in the same token, it's a lot easier to stay healthy when you're only playing 65 games a year instead of 82. He's played 82 games one time in his career. Once.
how'd that go?
And so you sit down, so yeah, he's just hanging around.
He's
Again, and then
He's still contributing. Look at the. He is putting. He is
the Lakers would be
numbers.
The Lakers would be junk without LeBron James right now.
I would venture to say that Anthony Davis's game would get better without LeBron.
Oh no.
I would venture to say that, because the games that he's not there, Anthony Davis scores a lot.
He's a top. You could argue he's a top 15 player. I mean, golly, any team in the league would take LeBron James.
I'm warranted.
Again,
I'll take LeBron.
you sit down. I look at LeBron.
40 years old. Give the man some 40 years old.
I don't disagree with you, but again, it's the nature of the game allows him. I tell people all the time, Steph Curry. Everybody talks about how great Steph Curry is, but Steph Curry would be Del Curry if he played in the old NBA, because as soon as he got across half court, Gary Payton would be waiting at half court to hand check him and toss his little ass around. He would be in the Cleveland series when they allowed J.R. Smith to get physical with it. What had happened to Steph Curry? Disappeared. I think he scored like 20 points. I think that was a high, because he would never take the physicality. But you put him in today's NBA, and of course he's a better player. He looks better, and everybody's hyped. You sit down, it's the same. I think LeBron would be a great player back then, because he would have to adjust to the physicality. But the problem is you can't be 6'8", what is it, 6'8", 6'10", 260 pounds, and then sitting here whining and crying like, oh my God, he put his fingernail on.
So here's the problem. Like, it's really impossible to compare eras, because they were not nearly as athletic back then as they are now.
I disagree with that one wholeheartedly.
No, I think they were stronger. They fouled each other harder. But the extreme athletes, they didn't have the range. They weren't able to shoot the way they are now. The completion percentages are way up. Like,
are you serious? The 3-point percentage is exactly the same. The 3-point percentage is exactly the same, Wally. I think maybe up 2%. It went from 33 to 35.
They shoot six times the amount, right? So the body of evidence is significantly more. Like
Yeah.
they do it
But
because
again,
it works.
they get cleaner shots because they're not being defended. Because if you go up and you put your hand and you touch a guy's forearm, it's a foul now. Whereas back then, I mean, again, this is where I sit down and I look and I watch them guys play. I watched the gameplay; it was awful. I couldn't even. I watched a quarter of it; it was awful, and it's because the game. It looked like a bunch of old guys at the Y playing. Come up court, one guy dribbling a whole lot, baby pass here. Everybody standing around 3-point line waiting to shoot. Nobody was moving. No one was cutting. No one was. The defense was lackluster. One guy drives down the lane, another guy's back down by the lane, and instead of coming over to help, he just watches him score. Oh, you want him to help? It's lackadaisical. It's uninteresting, and that's why viewership is down.
Unfortunately, you obviously are a Celtics fan because you haven't watched their brand of basketball lately. Because that's not the brand of basketball that they play in the NBA. You just don't like this era of basketball. To think that these guys aren't better athletes. But Michael Jordan came into a league where guys were ripping cigarettes before the game, doing cocaine all through the 80s. Like, look at those guys are better athletes than today's. All they do is 365 days a year. All they're doing is training their body, working on their craft.
Again, but to say they're a better athlete, they're better prepared because they take care of themselves better. But 100%. To say they're better athletes, they're not better athletes. Think about it like this. Think about it like this. Michael Jordan was the first basketball player to actually incorporate weight training into it to deal with the physicality, right? So he changed the nature of the game because he said, hey, I need to start taking care of myself in order to be more durable. So that's all these guys. These guys are just expounded. These guys have masseuse, they have chefs, but again, you couldn't afford all that when you were making what you were making in the 80s versus what these guys are making now. The guy at the end of the bench is making $15 million. So when you sit down, yeah, these guys are better. They're better.
That plays no factor into it, though.
Okay, look at let's take me and Nate for example. We are older. I'm 56 years old. I go to the gym, I work out, I can lift with these young kids, this and that. But because I understand weight training, I understand the value of it all. I understand there is creatine, there is all these protein mixes. There's so much more available to maintain yourself than there was in the 80s. Tell me when GNC started. Tell me when all this weight training and all this, it all started later. So there are better off. But I think if you were to take Michael Jordan and put him in this era, he would still dominate because his athleticism. If you take
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played into his 40s.
Yeah. Again, if you
put up anywhere near the numbers. Robert Parrish played into his 40s. These guys, they fell off a cliff.
Again, the game
does not fall off a cliff.
Again, the game was much more physical. The Kareem Abdul-Jabbar took a lot more punishment than LeBron did.
LeBron is just
so if you were to take Kareem and put him in
stronger for 20 years in the league. So I'm a Celtics guy through and through.
So look, you sit down and you look a guy like Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain ran track. He ran hurdles. The dude was phenomenal. He was running on gravel and he was winning. He could have ran track in college, but he chose to play basketball. He walked away from basketball because he got $1 million to play in Conan versus playing basketball. So, well, yeah, I'm going to take $1 million versus making $250,000. So he walked away from basketball. Again, if the ability to take care of yourself and the physical training and the masseuses and all the things were available to Larry Bird back then, his career would have been longer. You don't think all those fights and all that thing. I agree with you that the game was the way they took care of themselves was different, but I don't think they were better. Mentally, I don't think they're as strong as those guys were.
It's unfortunate that they didn't put that much time and that much effort into their craft back then because we'll never be able to know. But this generation's basketball player is so far advanced in skill level, it's not even close. Not even close. Not even close.
I'm sorry, but you watch the video. I watch videos. I watch down and I watch these guys. These guys travel. They had to put in a gather step because these guys couldn't even they were just traveling. So they said, well, we're going to give you a gather step because you guys travel so much that we're going to make an excuse for you not to travel.
They literally. You don't watch today's NBA.
I do watch today's NBA. I watch these guys again, and this is and Allen Iverson was a big influence in this in the carry. He palmed the ball constantly, but it looked so cool. And his palming was not as bad as it is today, but he palmed the ball, but it looked so cool. The NBA is like, hey, people like that. We're not going to call it. We're not. The NBA adjusts their way they call the games. If you watch a Tim Donaghy thing, they'll tell you. He says in one thing, he made a call on Michael Jordan, and Phil Jackson says to him, he told Phil Jackson, well, we were told to make that call. He goes, yeah, but not on him. That's literally what Phil Jackson told him. And then he went, and then that was it. He didn't make, adjusted his call to who the player was. And you see that all the time. So again, I sit down to say they're better athletes. I don't think they're bad. I think they maintain their fitness better, and their longevity is going to show that. But to say they're like, if you were to take an 18 to 20 or 22-year-old LeBron and a 22-year-old Clyde Drexler, a 22, they were just as good an athlete as he is. It's just
not skilled in basketball.
The way they maintain their health. They didn't take care of themselves. You telling me Akeem Olajuwon was a freak? That dude could run, jump, he did it all. And he was hitting jumpers. He could hit three, but the game wasn't played that way. He could shoot the Patrick Ewing could hit three, but the game wasn't played that way. It was played inside out.
Akeem played until he was 38, fell off a cliff. Look at his numbers the last couple of years of his career. Minuscule compared to LeBron. LeBron's 2-3 years past him and still putting up the same numbers.
But look at the rule changes that allow for the freedom of movement that wasn't allowed back then. Again, you don't see guys' jerseys getting pulled on. You don't see guys getting hand checked. You don't see when a guy's going in the lane getting knocked down, and even when they were fouled and it got called, now you're having flagrant fouls and you're getting guys with, kicked out of games for things that happened to them. And they're like, so we just call common foul.
And that's bad for the game of basketball. Why?
I'm not saying it's bad for the game of basketball. What I'm saying is that's part of the reason why their bodies didn't last as long, because of the physicality. But to say that they're better athletes, I don't think they're bad. I think they're just, one, the freedom of movement and the less physicality helps them. Two, the fact that the way they maintain their bodies. LeBron spends almost $2 million to take care of his body. Hakeem Olajuwon was making $2 million a year when he was playing.
Which only furthers the point that they're the better athlete.
Would that make a better athlete?
I would also say LeBron's physicality translates. Like his physicality would measure up as physical as anybody in the 80s. Now the game overall might have been more physical, but I'm telling you what, that man can.
There's what the problem with LeBron with me is here.
The game
I'm not saying physically he has that. Here, his mentality, he doesn't have that dog in. He doesn't. There was certain players, people feared Larry Bird. They didn't want to play him. People feared Michael Jordan. They didn't want to play him. People feared Kobe, feared Shaq. They were like, they would be up all night. They couldn't sleep. Nobody fears LeBron. Even on his own team, Mario Chalmers, when he was with the Heat, literally told him, "You're supposed to be the star of the league. Stop being a fucking bitch and fucking step up and win this game." His own team.
That was what he did, and he led him to the championship.
He's been good for a long time.
That's when San Antonio fell apart. Yeah, but again, that was when that was the year after they lost to Jason Barrera, and Jason Kidd held him to 8 points and 12 points.
He's not Michael Jordan. You are correct. He is not Michael Jordan. He's a different cat than Michael Jordan. The fucking guy came into the league at 18 years old and has lived up to every bit of the hype, been respectful the entire way, done it with nothing but class through and through. When the league is filled with punks all the way through.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Have multiple 20 kids. This guy's done it the right way the entire time. He's 40 years old, still doing it.
Again, and then you sit, and it goes to sit there, and I go back to Larry Bird and Magic Johnson saved the NBA. I don't care what anybody says, they saved the NBA. And if anybody wants to argue that they could argue that they're the GOAT next to Michael Jordan, would be Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson could play all 5 positions. He was a great point guard. I mean, honestly, if he doesn't get AIDS, he plays longer.
5-time
but
champion.
He walks away. But and 5 championships. And oh, by the way, he won a championship in college. He came in the NBA at 20, and he was everything that he was advertised. Same with Larry Bird. Everything was advertised. Michael Jordan came out. Everything is advertised. He was on a horrible Bulls team.
If he didn't get AIDS, Len Bias was going to be one of the top 5 NBA.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. If Len Bias doesn't die.
If he didn't go. right?
Yeah,
Coulda, woulda. LeBron's fucking done it.
Did we?
LeBron's
yeah.
done it. He's still doing it.
Did we lose?
No.
Oh, there he is. I thought. I
I
thought
am.
he was gone for the night.
And think about this.
No, I had to put my little man had to go to bed.
And again, I'm not diminishing what LeBron's done as a
Oh,
player.
but you were,
He is
my friend.
he,
But you
he,
were. That's
he
the
is
problem.
he's a great player, but when you want to put him on on a plane with guys who built the league, guys who basically everything he has benefited from everybody else. And the NBA realized the reason that freedom of movement and the fouls and all that stuff was because they saw guys like Michael Jordan and Kobe and all these guys get old fast because of the physicality. So they changed it for him. So he has longevity.
I think the point that's missing in the argument about the players being more athletic now is like to a man from the best player on the roster, including the All-Star roster, to the last guy on the bench. Like they are athletically better than they were in the 80s and they are.
I just think that they're more dedicated to their fitness than they were in the 80s.
I mean,
but
you can use semantics if you want to, but
again,
they
you're
are
sitting down. You're sitting down and look at the guys running around in Chuck Taylors. Now these guys have
the
shoes.
development of shoes doesn't make the person that wears them better athletes.
It allows for your feet to last longer because your feet are better cushioned. And
I'm not arguing with that, but that's technology. Technology is supposed to help us, which it has. And I would argue that to a man, every player that's in the NBA now is more athletic than every player was. But when we take the top 10,
I don't like the word athletic. I think they're better trained. I don't. When you say athletic, because you're talking about great athletes, you're talking about guys who are phenomenal athletes. That these guys, jumping out of the gym, and they weren't in the weight room. They didn't have masseuse. They didn't have. You go to colleges now and you look at their weight rooms and all this stuff that they have. They have people that cater to them 24/7 that they didn't have back then. Yeah. So to say they're better, I would say they're better trained, not better athletes.
Well, better trained means that they have better skills because they train more on those
skills is all about dribbling, basketball IQ. It's about understanding the game. Come on.
But because, like you said, they have more time
out there that they just don't play the game right.
Here's the point:
how many of those guys are standing around?
The athletic outcomes are greater now. They're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger, they jump higher. Like objectively, I bet they jump higher, they run faster. Like that, I think that's the point, right? Is that they are able because they're trained, because we have the technology. I agree on both fronts. But what comes first, the chicken or the egg? They have the better equipment, certainly. But because
if you,
better equipment, they're able to train to a higher level. They have the knowledge in terms of the physical science of your body, how to train and how to eat and how to care for yourself and not rip lines of coke in the bathroom with things like that. So I think they have the knowledge and the technology, which results in better athletes able to perform at a higher level.
But when you look at, just the natural athlete itself, you can't say they're better, but they're better developed. Because I sit down, just go back and look at some of the film or some of the photos of some of these older guys, how high they were jumping, how they were jumping over, they were dunking over people. The things they were doing. It wasn't like it was like something unheard of. It's just that the longevity is not there because of the way the game was played. It's unfortunate because you have guys a guy like Kevin Duckworth, who was just there knocking people out, or Bill Laimbeer, who was just knocking people out because I'm not an athlete. I'm just terrible. But I'm just going to physically beat you up because that's how I bring you down to my level, Yeah,
but nobody like Wemby. I hear you when you're saying about the physicality, but you didn't have seven. What is he? 7'5", 7'4", 7'4" guys that can move like him, that can shoot like him. There is.
Manute Bol was pretty big, but
in terms of ball movement,
and what was that guy? What was the guy that Sixers took over? Chris Webber. I can't remember his name.
Chris Webber. Time out.
We had Sean Bradley. So
Sean Bradley, Sean Bradley.
But again, it goes back to the way the game's played. What would Shaq do against Wemby?
Oh,
Shaq would just abuse that poor kid. And Wimby would be so tired. He was like,
Yeah,
"Oh my
but
god,
Shaq couldn't guard Wemby. Shaq couldn't
no,
guard him out by the
he wouldn't.
3-point line.
No." But Tim Duncan
Shaq in his
could.
prime could 100% guard Wemby at the 3-point line. 100%.
Shaq was a pretty good athlete for a big dude.
Shaq
It's when
could
he got
guard anybody. Early
when he
on,
got that.
Shaq could guard anybody.
Boy, oh boy, I like Shaq. We had this debate. We had this debate on one of our buddies' text threads over the last week or so, and I agree with you. But to play devil's advocate, the big men are required to go out to the. You have to guard your man to the 3-point line now. That changes things.
You want to see a freak athlete? Go back and watch Shaq footage
Oh,
when he was
great.
with Orlando.
Oh yeah, he
Oh,
was. But the thing is, he
Shaq.
ran the court.
L.A.
He ran the court. It was crazy because, and again, when he was at LSU, you had Stanley Roberts, two really big guys, but Shaq was 1,000 times better athlete than Stanley Roberts.
Yeah,
It was like
He was a freak. You know, you sit down and you go and look, but there's these guys that were big. You know, Patrick Ewing was a better athlete and a good shooter. You know, but he doesn't get credit for it because he was always inside trying to sit down. Now he was a little soft. I think Patrick Ewing would play better in this era because he wasn't as physical. I mean, he needed Oakley and these other guys to kind of.
Patrick Ewing, like his gait, like he couldn't hang. He could not run the floor in today's day and age. It would take him an hour and a half getting up and down the floor. Our big guys, like the speed of the game has.
You know who dominates today's game is Hakeem Olajuwon.
Oh,
30 years old. Patrick Ewing could not get up.
No. But young Patrick. I think Larry Bird would dominate the game just because of his shit talking. He would have these guys in tears. He would hurt them.
gentlemen, just learn not to bow out. I'll leave this on. I love you guys.
No, Colin and I got to go too.
Really?
I do.
Oh, well, this is amazing, you guys. I love this.
Yeah.
Have a good night, fellas.
Well, hold on. Chet, I need you to tell me why do math books look so sad?
Rollers.
Because they have so many problems.
God damn it. I never get it.
Nailed it.
Thanks for coming on, y'all. I appreciate the conversation. Love y'all. Smash the like and subscribe button. Zach, hopefully you can come on next week. Let us know when you can come on. We'd love to have you.
That'd be awesome.
The invitation.
All right.
Open invitation. You too, Jose. We'll see y'all later. Take care.
Night, boys.
Love y'all.
Good night, everybody. Good night.